uh, mute your mic. Niharika, mute करो. Yeah, so I take this opportunity to welcome you all in this very particular session on Professor this very Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay's ideology, inclusiveness among youth in skill development. First of all, I take this honor to welcome our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Manoj Keda, who has always been so kind and sportive, encouraging us all to take such type of activities, in particular interactive programs for the students. So thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time and to be with us today morning. I also welcome today's speaker, Professor B. Dharmalingam, a distinguished scholar of social science, and we are thankful to him that he has agreed to deliver today's talk on a very relevant issue. I would like to add here, sir, and but in particular for Professor Dharmalingam, that we are fortunate enough that Algappa University is a paired university with the University of Jammu so far as the cultural exchange programs are concerned at the national level. And we are happy that the Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay chair is working very well, and you are heading that, and you have agreed to give your talk on very say relevant issue. I mean to say that Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay philosophy and vision is in present times very relevant, and we have to explore different dimensions of his philosophy in this regard. So I also welcome my other colleagues from different part of the country, and in a particular, the head Department of Economics, University of Jammu, and other colleagues from the department as well as from the University of Jammu. I am very much elated to find that so far as the participants are concerned, they are. I was observing that they are, for the information of our esteemed vice chancellors are also. They are from all parts of the country, from south, from west, and even from east. So this shows that so far as Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay ideology, how it matters today, and how this chair, which are established in different universities, and in particular the government of India, is trying their best that people are interested in this philosophy and they are taking benefit out of that. So in that way, I welcome you all, and in particular, Dr. Ramkrishna Upadhyay from Chandrasekhar University, Balia, and other colleagues from Algappa University and other universities. I welcome you all. And then even I am very happy to see that young students are also being there, like scholars and students from Jammu University and other universities have joined it, because today's topic, as I just mentioned about, it is very, very important from the perspective of the skill development. And I hope all participants would be getting benefit out of this talk. And many more questions, Professor Dharamlingam, I may expect after your this very particular talk. Before I invite my worthy Vice Chancellor, sir, to say a few words to inaugurate this lecture. Sir, there is a brief profile of Professor B. Dharma Lingam. He is distinguished scholar of social science with nearly 30 years of teaching, research, and administrative experience at the different levels like Dean, Chairperson, Director, Professor, Head in Algappa University. Currently, he serves as a chair professor of Pandit DeenDayal Upadhyay Chair and Advisor on Algappa Institute of Skill Development in Algappa University. He acquired rich academic, administrative, and research credentials in the field of sociology, women's studies, rural development, and vocational education. So he is having very vast biodata, but in particular, I would like to mention that he has been, in a way, a pivotal around which I see that the vocational education setup or the skill development in particular in Algappa University has taken place. And he has been recognized for his services not at the national but at the international level also. He was being invited to UK for his services in skill education. Then he has also received Lifetime Achievement Award a, from a Foundation for Education Excellence, Dr. APJ Kalam Rashtriya Puruskar 2021 from Global Management Council, that is the National Award of Excellence, and then Adarsh Vidya Saraswati Rashtriya Puruskar in 2019, and then Algappa Excellent Award for Research 2018 from Algappa University and Dr. Radhakrishnan Award. So so far as the biodata is concerned, he is having very rich biodata, and I think his experience would really benefit us in today's talk. So with this brief introduction, I now request my Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Manoj K. Darji, to please inaugurate and say a few words in this regard. Sir, please.
Esteemed Professor B. Dharmalingam Sahab and my dear colleague Professor Jasbir Singh, who is the chair of Pandit DeenDayal Upadhyay Chair Professor in the University of Jammu, distinguished colleagues from all parts of the country, our distinguished faculty members, heads of the Department of University of Jammu, dear students, scholars, and other participants who are present here connected through this medium. I, on behalf of University of Jammu and on my personal behalf, would like to, first of all, extend a very warm welcome to Professor B. Dharmalingam and would also like to thank him for accepting our invitation to deliver this talk today. And as Professor Jasbir Singh has already mentioned about the scholarship of esteemed Professor Dharmalingam Sahab, I am extremely happy that we have a person of his stature accepting to deliver the talk today. And we have an association with Algappa University in being in the same, I would say, bracket so far as the MHRD recognized category 1 universities are concerned. And we are also paired with the university in the sense of various cultural activities. So in that sense, it's indeed a matter of great pleasure to have a person of his eminence today with us. So welcome Professor Dharmalingam for this talk. And I also welcome all the participants, distinguished colleagues who are here for this lecture. As Professor Jasbir has already talked about the importance of the ideology and philosophy of Pandit DeenDayal Upadhyay in the present times, I would say that Pandit DeenDayal Upadhyay was a profound Indian philosopher, economist, sociologist, historian, journalist, and an eminent political activist. His treatise on integral humanism is a critique of communism and capitalism, advocating a holistic alternative perspective for political action and statecraft consistent with the laws of creation and the universal needs of the human race. I think we will come to know much more about him from Professor B. Dharmalingam, but I would briefly say that integral humanism, as he has talked about, as he has mentioned, as is his philosophy, it imagines a common thread called dharma to act as an intrinsic guiding principle for the state, which leads to political and social empowerment of all and penetration of economic benefits up to unto the last man or woman standing. His main stress for governance was on morality in politics and for economic development on Swadeshi. Thus, integral humanism builds on an organic thought where it imagines an Indian nation which is guided by common principles of moral order. A nation where all citizens identify themselves as a part of the same Indian ethos, where we modernize but do not westernize, where we have individual economic liberty, but that which is coupled with the social safety net. And lastly, where we transcend group consciousness as members of different religious and social communities to develop a common national consciousness. As I said, much more we will come to know after hearing Professor Dharmalingam, and it is indeed a great opportunity for all of us to learn more and more about Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay. And I would compliment Professor Jasbir Singh, who is the chair professor of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay chair, for initiating this discussion, for involving the experts, and for inviting eminent people for delivering lectures, for, as I said, initiating this discussion on the philosophy of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay. I wish to congratulate him and his entire team for taking this initiative. I am looking forward to much more interactions, many more interactions in future as well. And I'm sure that Jammu University, under his Jammu University chair, under this Professor Jasbir Singh, will make many headways and contribute immensely for the purpose for which this chair has been established in the University of Jammu. So once again, I welcome you all, and I am really looking forward to many such interactive programs, and I would urge all the participants to interact with Professor Dharmalingam once the lecture is over, so that you can get greatly benefited by his scholarship. Thank you so much for inviting me, Professor Jasbir, and all the best for future endeavors. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your appreciation and encouraging words. Now I request Professor B. Dharmalingam to please start with your presentation. Sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Honorable Vice Chancellor of University of Jammu, Professor Manoj Kedar, respected Professor Jasbir Singh, Chair Professor Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay Chair and the Department of Economics, University of Jammu, Dr. Neharika Subhas from the Center for Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusion Policy, distinguished and eminent participants of this webinar, and my dear friends, good morning to you all. I feel privileged to thank the Vice Chancellor, University of Jammu, and the organizers of this webinar for being invited me to deliver a keynote address in this program. Well, this webinar is hosted by one of the India's prestigious universities, University of Jammu, on the topic, the ideology of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay, who is one of the political thinkers of the last century in India, and inclusiveness in skill development. Pandit Deendayal's seminal contributions to socio-economic and political thought in the last century was the ideology of integral humanism. In fact, it is a philosophy, it's a thought over which Pandit Deendayal ji has expected that the thinkers and intellectuals of the world would build contemporary institutions and policies. Accordingly, in 2014, after being elected as a Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji has got opportunity to implement integral humanism and made this philosophy as a base for all his government initiatives. Through these initiatives, he has tried well to cover the concerns and the development needs of almost all, including the youth, women, rural and downtrodden. For the inclusion of the rural youth and downtrodden in the mainstream of the economic activities of the country, and to accomplish the economic model mentioned in integral humanism, an assurance of minimum standard of living to every individual. The skill development initiatives such as Deen-Dayal Upadhyay, Grama Kaushal Yojana, that is DDGKY, and Skill India, or the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana scheme were launched to train the youths in different skill jobs. With this prelude, before elaborating and throwing light on the ideology of Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay and the skill development initiatives in India, let me furnish the details about the present scenario of higher education and youth potential in India. The Indian higher education system has witnessed a significant expansion in recent years, both in the terms of the number of institutions as well as the student enrollment. In 1950 to 51, there were only 28 universities and 578 colleges in India. Now it is increased to 1,019 universities and 39,931 colleges, of which half of the institutions came into existence only in the last 2 decades. The quantity of the universities has increased more than 75 times. Likewise, gross enrollment ratio grew up from 24.5% in 2015 to 16 to 71.1% in 2019-20. According to latest All India Higher Education Survey released by Ministry of Education. India target of 35% GER in higher education by 2025 will require an additional 10,510 technical institutions, 15,530 colleges, and 520 universities. Likewise, in higher education, engineering colleges in the country have been growing at 20% a year, while business schools have grown at 60%. According to All India Council for Technical Education, 3,54,421 students enrolled for MBA in 3,364 institutions across the country. Our India has many advantages over the other countries. Number one, demographic dividend. It will drive India's future growth because 65% of its population is in the age group of 15 to 59 years. That is the working age population. The median age of India's population is between 28 to 29 years. That is, more people have the potential to be productive and to contribute to the growth of economy. Number two, English language. Because English language became the prerequisite in all public space of India. Now it has become one of the common languages in India. Number three, affinity to maths. It helps to develop the ability to think. Number four, the credible IT image in India, because India is the largest exporter of IT. Number five, the steady growth trajectory. except 2020, India has a steady economic growth. The youth potential in India, because as I told already, India is one of the youngest nations in the world, with more than 62% of the population in the working age group, 15 to 59 years, and with more than 54% of the total population below 25 years of age. This demographic advantage is predicted to last until 2040. Like this, our global demographies, because among the other nations, India has the low median age population, as well as the world dependency ratio is also very low in 2025 and 2020. That is comparatively to the other nations. India has a very low median age as well as the world age dependency ratio. Then, are our nation or our youth potential skilled? Because India is a large country with a population of more than 1.3 billion and having a workforce of 500 million. Because currently, about 26 million people enter the working age group every year. Among them, 65% of them, that is 16.9 million, looking for jobs. But the annual skilling capacity, including farm sector, was estimated at only 7 million during the period 2013-14. Likewise, the unemployment rate in the August 2021 stood at 32.03%, which means almost every third of the youth in the country is unemployed. 33% of the educated youth in India are unemployed due to lack of future skills. For most of them, despite getting a degree, almost 2 million graduates and 500,000 postgraduates are unemployed in India. Around 47% graduates in India are not suitable for any kind of industrial role. Above all, the level of educated unemployment in India increases with higher education. The NSDC studied during the 2017-22 an additional need for 103 million skilled persons in 24 high priority sectors. This is the presentation of the skilled workforce in India, because India currently faces a shortage of well-trained skilled workers. The proportion of formally skilled workers in India is extremely low. It is estimated that only 4.69% of the workforce in India has undergone formal skill training. Comparatively, 68% in the UK, 75% in Germany, 52% in USA, 80% in Japan, and 96% in South Korea. According to the latest India Skill Report, only 45.6% of the youth graduating from education institutions are employable. So the formal skilled workers is only 4.69% in India. Then what is the expected skill gap? What are the expected skill gap in 2022? In India, the demanded skilled manpower by 2022 is in 24 key sector is 109.73 million. But our workforce is estimated to increase by 27% by the year 2022 to approximately 600 million from current 473 million. In 2019, 53% of the Indian businesses were unable to hire candidates due to lack of future skills. According to ILO, in 2019, several job positions that required future skills remained unfulfilled, owing to the skill gap that exists across various industries. We are also having skill gap in generic skills, because the generic skills are those that apply across a variety of jobs and life contexts. We are deemed unfit in communication skills, confidence, presentation skill, problem-solving capabilities, generic abilities to cope up with society. are the most important shortcomings of presently youth in order to map the skills with the industry expectations. The Manpower Group report discovered that 63% of the Indian companies reported talent shortages. In the year 2018, it was 54% talent shortage. So, the major requirements for the self-reliant youth are the economic freedom and dignity. The economic freedom means freedom from hunger, freedom from poverty. This can be attained only through jobs or entrepreneurial support. But at present, 55 million eligible rural youth are there in India. Then how can we get jobs? Or how can they can become entrepreneurs? The skills are the skills are the key to get jobs, to get entrepreneurial support. Okay, this is about some 50 years back. A great soul had dreamed about importing skill empowering youth to be the source for economic development, self-sustained economic growth of India. Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay was in the legion of post-independent political thinkers. He has crafted the philosophy of India's own socio-economic development model called integral humanism. The concept of integral humanism he propounded envisaged remedies for the post-globalization maladies of the world. He coined the famous slogan, Sarai Nidhi, move on, and also work for every hand and water for every field. But it is remained oblivious to the general public. Upadhyay conceived a classless and casteless and conflict-free social order. He stressed on the ancient Indian wisdom of oneness of mankind. He opposed both Western capitalist individualism and Marxist socialism. He conceptualized an alternative approach. The third way from the inertia of capitalism and communism. But he welcomed modern technology and modern science. Pt.DeenDayal's idea of integral humanism, that is Ekatma Manava Darshan, can alone ensure the holistic and sustainable development of the society that paves way to happiness and peace at the individual, social, national, and global level. According to him, humankind had four hierarchically organized attributes of body, mind, intellect, and soul, each corresponding to four universal objectives: karma, that is desire; artha, that is wealth; dharma, moral duties; and moksha. But the dharma is the basic, and the moksha, the ultimate objective of the humankind and society. Dharma is the threadbare that abides karma and artha for supreme goal of human life, moksha. Integral humanism presents an indigenous socio-economic model in which human being remains at the center of development. One of the key objectives of its economic model is an assurance of minimum standard of living to every individual. The another objective is further increase above the minimum standard of living, where by the individual and the nation acquires the means to contribute the world progress. And as Pandit DeenDayal ji has emphasized, that these two objectives should provide meanings, employment to every able-bodied citizens. To achieve these objectives, Government of India has taken a number of policy and institution level initiatives, including Atmanirbhar Bharat, Skill India, Make in India, DDU-GKY. From this, we can see an employable surge. We can see an employable surge. It's the natural outcome of all these initiatives. So here, in the integral humanism, DeenDayal ji, he also mentioned that the system must help and not disregard the human being, the individual. Our government has attained its objective successfully. The dignity and self-respect of the common man are the core of all skill development initiatives. The integral humanism enhances not only political but also economic and social democracy and freedom. Further, it aims to ensure dignified life for every human being while balancing the needs of the individual and society. The important aspects of Pandit DeenDayal ji has highlighted in the integral humanism, we can understand that is freedom, dignity and unity. Freedom means the economic freedom. That is freedom from hunger, freedom from poverty, freedom from social evils and immorality, etc. Dignity, it has lot of meanings. Dignity to downtrodden, dignity to minorities, women, dignity to rural youth who lead undignified life in the society. Man is just above for profit and food. He wants freedom and dignity. The man aspires instinctively for freedom from hunger, freedom from poverty and illiteracy. That is, the life of the lost man to be dignified. The life of the lost man to be dignified and to be freed from hunger and poverty. Our Prime Minister Modi ji has introduced the skill initiative programs and said, I will make the youth as stakeholders. I will make the youth as partners in the economic system. And we cannot expect any society to become great by condemning our own people to rejectness. Dignity of the lost man. The dignity of the lost man should be the objectives of our policy and programs. It is not just the food to the lost man, but are you making the life of the lost man dignified? This is what Pandit DeenDayal Upadhyay emphasized in integral humanism under Antyodaya. Almost 55 million potential and rural youth didn't have access to job. It means that we excluded the rural youth in the economic activities of the country. It's not economic prosperity, but we may have good in GDP growth rate. So that he introduced the important skill development programs for the rural youth on 25th September 2014 and the birth anniversary of Pandit DeenDayal Upadhyay. Pandit DeenDayal has emphasized that employment should be provided every able-bodied citizen. In integral humanism, it is also mentioned that the system must help and not disregard the human being, the individual. Here, the Modi ji government has attained this objective successfully. The dignity and self-respect of the common man are the core of all skill development initiatives. So the integral humanism, it supports a sustainable consumption of natural resources, so that those resources can be replenished. It resolves around the basic themes of harmony, primacy of cultural, national values, and discipline. Then the mission Antyodaya. The Antyodaya means uplifting the poorest of the poor. And it was one of the concepts emphasized by Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay. Literally, it means the rise of the last person or uplifting up to the last person. This means ensuring that the last person in the ladder gets the benefit of growth and development. It is known as where no one is left behind. It is the means to rid the nation of extreme poverty and to ensure the minimum standard of living of all individuals. Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi has said, we are continuously striving to improve the quality of life of downtrodden, be it toilets, electricity, bank accounts, gas, education, etc. And Antyodaya Divas, because in the September 25th of every year is celebrated as Antyodaya Divas to mark the birth anniversary of Pandit. The theme is to uplift the poor people in society to the better sector. Helping the poorest of the poor is the main theme of the day. The agenda for Antyodaya Divas is enhancing the important agenda of Antyodaya Divas is enhancing the skills of the rural youth, making them self-reliant, making them independent and survival of the fittest. It provides advanced skills for knowledge that will make the youth competitive globally. This is the main agenda of the Antyodaya Divas. Then, according to the DeenDayal Upadhyay, India should be able to develop an indigenous development model because he advocated the indigenous development model that has human beings as its core focus. He stressed, man, the highest creation of God, is losing his own identity. We must re-establish him in his rightful position, bring him the realization of his greatness, reawaken his abilities, and encourage him to attain the divine heights of the latest personalities. This is possible only through a decentralized economy. And Pandit DeenDayal Upadhyay ji, he has also given that explain about the empowerment. Because besides internal humanism, DeenDayal ji had proposed the following concepts that were proposed a comprehensive framework for the empowerment of youth and our country. Number one, development. Number two, technology. Number three, workers. Number three, machines. As an economist, DeenDayal ji was believing in the virtue of large production from small units. He proposed to use new technologies that can fit to our culture so that in decentralized economy, every family unit becomes productive unit. Pandit ji on development. DeenDayal ji always preached about the development of smaller units and the empowerment of everyone, empowerment of all. DeenDayal ji said, while doing relevant speedy industrialization, our priority should be that how our country can become self-sufficient in food grains. So he is given importance to self-sufficient in food grains. On the other hand, we should pay attention to establishment of factories making products of common use and small industries. He is also supporting to start or establishing the factories making the products of common use and small industries. Then regarding the technology should be according to the social situations, in coherence with the cultural values, and should improve our social institutions. as our social values, cultural traditions, and physical needs are different from other countries, we should adapt indigenous technology rather than imitating the West. Technology should be such that each household becomes independent production unit. Priority should be given to the agriculture so that it sufficiently provides food grain and raw materials and becomes self-sufficient. Small industries and consumer goods industries should be established at the large scale. So he advocated the small industries and consumer good industries should be established at a large scale. But regarding the workers, because Banditji wanted that ownership rights should be given to workers in industries and share in management and profit as given to the shareholders, as like the shareholder, because he is, according to him, a worker who works so hard for the company is treated as a stranger. So he advocated the ownership rights should be given to the workers in the industries. Then we go to machinism. Because today we consider the machine the focal point and think of changing everything else according to it. Our entire system of production is centered around the machine. But if we follow the Western machine age, neither Sarvodaya nor socialism will be able to protect our culture. Now we'll be able to solve the problem before us. Our ideals will have to be Dharmarajya, democracy, social equality, and economic decentralization. Because the machine should complement the work of labor, not a competitor. If you choose the right machine, the labor can become a producer. Otherwise, he may remain only a consumer. So by and large, we can say that we should use such machines as are in consonance with the implements of production available in our country. By keeping all these ideologies and to reflect that the approach of the government is aligned with the vision of integral humanism, the government of India has started several social and skill development initiatives with the Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay's name. To mention a few, DeenDayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushalya Yojana and DeenDayal Upadhyay Samyav Jayade Karyakram. These are a more number of programs. These are I mentioned here only a few. The Skill India, because the Skill India was launched in 2015, which was marked as a Youth Skill Day. World Youth Skill Day was celebrated on this day. So on 15/7, the Skill India was launched. The aim of the Skill India is to provide adequate training in the market relevant skills to over 40 crore youth by 2022, to create opportunities for the development of talent within the country, to improve the overall scope and the space for underdeveloped sectors. Under the Skill India, there are many kind of skill development programs. Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana, skill recognition, knowledge awareness for livelihood promotion, Udan, standard training and reward scheme, polytechnic scheme, vocation of education. But the Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana is the prime flagship scheme in the Skill India program. But its aim is to enable the youth to take up training to secure a better livelihood. Assessment and the training fees under the scheme are covered by the Government of India. The individuals with prior experience can get the certificates. But under the Pradhan Mantri Kausal Yojana scheme, so far 1 crore 85 lakhs people have benefited under the Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana. Under the JSS, 9.68 lakhs have benefited. Under the NAP scheme, 7.25 lakhs and the CTS 52.04 lakhs have benefited. So under the Skill India scheme, so far 2 crore 54 lakhs people have benefited under the Skill India program. And also, DDGY is a very important scheme under the skill training program. It uses skill training and placement in wage employment as a tool to diversify the income and enable sustained upward movement out of the poverty. This program is currently being implemented and training youth in 28 states, 689 districts, in partnership with 839 project implementing agencies. But it is conducting training across 82 sectors and over 450 job roles. The field training is provided under this program, free uniform, free course material, free lodging and board. In case of the residential programs, reimbursement of the expenses. Suppose if it is a non-residential program, the post-placement salary top-ups every month for 2 to 6 months, depending on location of the placement. And the placement for at least 75% of all the trained candidates. At present, DDGKY has more than 12 lakh youth in training on 82 sectors and covering over 450 job roles. 11,28,208 youth have trained and 9,03,000 people are assessed. And so far, 6,68,000 people are certified and 6,63,000 people are placed during the year 2014-15 to 2020-21. So far, 1,183 mobilization camps have organized under this program. Around 75,660 youth enrolled for upcoming training programs in a week. Like that, there are few other skill training programs of Government of India. There are Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana 3.0, Atmanirbhar Skilled Employer Mapping. Like that, there are Kaushal Acharya Awards. And also a legacy of Pandit G in the schemes of state governments. Below are some of the schemes launched in his name by the state governments in Uttar Pradesh, in Uttarakhand, in Haryana, in Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. They are also having their own skill development programs and in the name of Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay ji. So to precise, we can say the principles and the strategies of Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay is the youth empowerment, number one, and two, the industrial training. The industrial training is nothing but industry relevant training or practical training, and promotion of small industries, indigenous development, technology based on a cultural ethos. So the strategies of Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay, the youth empowerment industrial training, is being carried out through the present central and state government, central government schemes of Skill India and DDGKY. Then, in order to transform the country into a global design and manufacturing hub for the promotion of small industries, indigenous development, and technology based on cultural ethos, the brainchild of the PM, the Make in India, Startup India, and Innovate India schemes are started and working for the development of the youth. So the vision of integral humanism, the vision of our Prime Minister, the entire scheme Atmanirbhar Bharat focuses on providing impetus to the Skill India. So for all these present schemes, it is the Atmanirbhar Bharat is a roadmap. It's a nothing but the Atmanirbhar Bharat is self-reliant India. But for all these schemes, they are complementary each other, and Atmanirbhar Bharat is an advanced version of Make in India initiative. The combination of all these schemes, all are boosting the economic growth and transforming the picture of our country. The Atmanirbhar Bharat has been very well received by our startups, enabling the resurgence of the Indian economy. Finally, you can say, as marked by Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, if each person marches one step forward, the nation would march 130 crores steps forward. For that, what to do we? So to first we have to assess our skills. So I request all the students and youth of both rural and urban, they have to analyze your skills. What skills you needed for development? How will you achieve this? First, you analyze your own skills. Then you perform the SWOT analysis on your abilities. Then you have to perform the strength, weakness, opportunities, and the challenges of your abilities. Then you have believe in you. Then you have the confidence in you. Then you find the technology environment. Then you work hard. If you work hard, then you try to achieve something despite difficulty. Have a perseverant mind. You have to develop a perseverant mind. Then you be a professional in your domain. You become a competent and efficient and a experienced person. Then automatically you will get a happy life. Then you can reach or attain a happy life. This is what Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay says is in Indo-European humanism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Taramlingam. Obviously, you have covered the concept as well as the recent development programs are concerned. I hope that the listeners, particularly the youngsters, they must have been now familiar with the different type of schemes which are being there for the skill development. As the UGC has also been, and through MHRD also, Ministry of Higher Education, we are having these special skill development programs which are very much now related with the academia also. So in that way, I feel that if these programs are made more popular so far as their features are concerned, because I was looking at few questions that students, they still feel that we have to generate more awareness, not at the even higher education level, but at the school level as such also. Because if in the particular far-flung areas, so if we are being there implementing these, are just making students aware about these programs, then they would be able to be beneficial or take benefit out of it. The furthermore, so far as your talk is concerned, you have covered almost, I think, the basic thrust of the philosophy of under Deen-Dayal Upadhyay. What I understand that so far as the development is concerned, basically he was talking about the human development now, which in the 90s the UN has started talking about, and then we are trying to make. When he says that we are not averse to advancements and the innovations or the inventions in the Western countries so far as the technology development is concerned, but these should be adopted within the framework of our Swadeshi or framework of what sort of India's requirement is concerned. I can very well take it like it that he may be talking about that development through technologies can be a material development, but development without human touch would not be a development or we would not be able to reduce poverty, miseries, or what we talk about classless societies or the caste-based exploitations are concerned. So he has very well, as you have rightly pointed out, that without harmony, no society can build up the foundations for future generations. And one very particular, and that is the lovely philosophy or the point there he has put forth. And for many years, I am surprised that why our politicians, planners, or the policymakers, they have not taken it into their consideration. When he talks about that governance is the politics with morality. and that today we find that the people are moving away so far as the morality is concerned, that too in politics. And when he talks about dharma, his dharma is also being confused with religion. He was not talking about his specific religion, but when he was talking about dharma, he was talking about Ram Rajya. When he was talking about Ram Rajya, he was talking about good governance. And for him, the good governance was that it should be with morality. And the second aspect which fascinates me, that was the everyone has a right, but every right is with some sort of duty. So our constitution also says like that. If we see the definition of human rights or rights of the people is concerned, no right in the world is independent of everything, because every right is having some duty associated with that. So it is being backed up by that. But the one aspect we take on that this is our right, and the second aspect we don't take into consideration. So in that, what happens that maybe for the political interests or some sort of interest of the people who are at the controlling level, they may refuse to accept or I would say that they ignore these very small portions. But ultimately, we were not being on the track. And it is very rightly pointed out by you also, that if we are being on his philosophy, or if we try to say discuss or try to go in for more in-depth researches, as well as the policies which are being there, if these are being there, definitely the society as well as the country is going to get benefited out of that. So, Professor Dharmalingam, personally, I am very much delighted and thankful to you. And as our Honorable Vice Chancellor has also mentioned about it, we are very much, I would say, we are lucky that we are having such type of interaction with your university. And not only on this front, so far as the Pt.DeenDayal Upadhyay chair is concerned, we would love to have more interactions on the other aspects, whether it is the cultural interactions are concerned or exchanges are concerned, or it would be because as in the beginning we have mentioned that we are paired universities, so we have to work even. We would love to, and I offer from this chair and from the Department of Economics that we would love to have some sort of collaborations with your university with regard to research, so that we should be able to come out with more of the things which are very much beneficial to the society and our economic development is concerned. So once again, thank you very much, and please convey our regards and thanks to your esteemed Vice Chancellor, sir, also concerned, because in one of the interactions he was there when I made the interaction. So from our Vice Chancellor, sir, you please convey his regards to him, and we would be looking more interactions between Vice Chancellor to Vice Chancellor and faculty to faculty, and then students to students. So I'm thankful to all the professors, or particularly I have mentioned my friends from Upadhyay, who was from Chandrasekhar University, Balia, and many other people who have joined uh, this very particular talk. And hopefully everyone would be benefited. I was just looking at the chat box. So everyone is appreciating, and it's a good thing, Professor Dharmalingam, that your presentation made everything clear to the listeners. So they are very few who are with any sort of question, but they are rather appreciating that you have made many points clear. So now I invite Dr. Shalu Sharma, our assistant professor in the Department of Economics, University of Jammu, to formally present her vote of thanks. Yaluji.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Honorable dignitaries, distinguished guests, and students, scholars, I, on behalf of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay Chair, Department of Economics, would like to present a formal vote of thanks on the occasion of the interactive webinar on Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay's ideology and inclusiveness among youth in skill development. I extend my gratefulness to our keynote speaker of the webinar, Professor B. Dharmalingam, Chair Professor, Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay Chair, Advisor, Alagappa Institute of Skill Development, formerly Dean of Education, who inspired us and presented a detailed presentation of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay's ideology on Skill India with focus on youth of our country. He also highlighted on how opportunities for development of talent within the country can be created to fill the skill gap by focusing on various skills like communication skills, confidence building, presentation skills, generic abilities to cope up with the society so that every individual can either get a job or become a successful entrepreneur and lead a dignified life. I also take this golden opportunity to thank our respective chief guest of the webinar, Professor Manoj Kedar, Vice Chancellor, University of Jammu, for his benign presence and encouraging remarks. We are also grateful to Professor Jasbir Singh, in charge, Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay Chair, Department of Economics, University of Jammu, and also Professor Arun Sharma, Head, Department of Economics, for motivating us always and organizing such an informative webinar for all of us. My deep sense of appreciation also goes to the faculty members of Department of Economics and other departments of the University of Jammu, and also the principal and professors of the affiliated colleges, and not only from the University of Jammu but also from other universities of North India, and the non-teaching staff of Department of Economics, technical team, scholars, and the students for their active participation and helping us out in the successful conduction of this webinar. I'm thankful to each one and to all of you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.